Hey friends, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel, Football Therapy, with me, your host Dan. I hope you're doing well, mate. I really do hope that. Did you watch that football match last night? What a great match that was. Super exciting. Not loving it if you're a Man City fan, but what? There are 2 goals to the good, definitely going through in the tie with like 89th, 90th minute. Incredible. We're not here to talk about that today, though. We're reflecting on all things Chelsea. We're going to go for an article by James Ollie on ESPN reflecting on what's happening with the takeover. Who's going to go? Should I stay or should I go now? Also, Fabrizio Romano, Marcus Alonso, Ben Jacobs on Twitter. Settle in, get comfortable. Thank you to everyone who's dropping likes on the content. It helps me out as a content creator. And thank you to those of you who are subscribed, because you're all welcome to. And we're nearing 150k. Wow-wee. What a landmark, so very close. Let's start off with Marcus Alonso. Fabrizio Romano tweeting yet again an update on this story. Marcus Alonso's priority will be to leave the Premier League this summer. The plan is clear, and Barcelona have his name on the list, contacts ongoing. Alonso would like to come back to Spain. Chelsea are open to selling, but still have nothing advanced due to current club situations. Hashtag sanctions seasons. Chelsea can't do anything. Marcus Alonso has played well. I will learn to speak English, and then I will reflect positively on Marcus Alonso's time at Chelsea. Of course, sensational in the first season when we won the league. Decent in the second season when we won the FA Cup. Really good at the beginning of Sarri's reign, then sort of dropped off, and Emerson was the best for the later Sarri reign. Lampard and in and out. He's obviously very good. He can have amazing games at left wing back. Let's have it right. But he also, he's in his 30s. He's not dynamic. He's not as good as Ben Chilwell. And if you want to switch to a back four, he's not necessarily the one. So I'm totally cool with him moving on, and I'm sure most of you are too. But I imagine all of us collectively are thankful for his time here at the club. Let's do an update from Ben Jacobs at JacobsBen on Twitter, who's been really, really good in terms of reporting on the takeover. He seems like the go-to guy, to be honest. So shout out Ben Jacobs. Boehly Clearlake takeover of Chelsea is now very close to completion. Rain sources tell me on Wednesday the talks were, quote, highly productive and no alternative options are being explored. Sources within Boehly Clearlake say they've remained calm and they're confident they will own Chelsea Football Club. The handling of Abramovich's 1.6 billion in loans has provided some late drama. Boehly Clearlake bid initially presumed a debt-free purchase, as many did, I guess. If funds covering a debt are frozen by the government, then the 1.6 billion will remain in limbo for now. That will be enough to complete a sale by May 31. This plan doesn't fully resolve the debt, brackets, the original hope, but it does suspend it and allow a sale to go through. It will be interesting to see what happens if and when the sanctions against Abramovich are lifted. Boehly Clearlake, like Broughton, were never prepared to engage or pay Camberley. The main reason is because they couldn't do any due diligence and be sure to where the money would go. Look, man, basically, this is interesting, isn't it? Like, it's just the fact that a sale can go through is ultimately, the most important thing. But it would be so Chelsea that a new owner comes in, he's got no controversial history, and, it's all positive, and he wants to change Chelsea and win, Boehly. But then, 18 months, 2 years down the line, when things are going well, Abramovich wants his 1.6 billion back, and then we'll be in the headlines again for another 6 months or something. You can just totally see that happening. But of course, we'll keep you posted here on the channel. Make sure you keep it locked and you're subscribed. Right, we are going to talk about this article from ESPN, written by James Ollie. It's interesting. I haven't actually read it yet, but I've skimmed it. I know it's got some good gear in it, and I wanted to react with you guys to give you guys the information, and we can talk about it together. Chelsea's sale may be edging closer to completion, but the most turbulent period in the club's 117-year history so far. Is it the most turbulent period? I mean, Chelsea nearly actually went bust, and we were handing out buckets to save Stamford Bridge. So maybe sensationalism there. is far from over as far as fans, staff and players. They all face an uncertain future. Although British billionaire Sir Jim Ratcliffe attempted to gatecrash the process with a last-ditch offer of his own, the consortium led by Los Angeles part owner Todd Boehly was confirmed as the Blues' preferred bidder on Friday, as we've discussed. And of course, the reports from Ben Jacobs there seeming like it's pretty much over the line. Ratcliffe remains hopeful of a late change of heart as Chelsea look to secure the UK government and Premier League approval in coming days. And of course, guys, we've obviously reacted to reports that, in fact, Todd Boehly has passed the owners and directors test. But Boehly's camp is in the driver's seat to become the new owners, finally drawing a line under the Abramovich era. No, heavy. It has been 67 days since Abramovich sought to create distance. So yeah, I'm not going to read this bit. This is like, when he was like, I'm giving up the stewardship of care to the, what's it called? The Chelsea Foundation, wasn't it? Yeah, that was peculiar. Then we know what happened. Sanctioned, frozen, and originally he talked about writing off the 1.6 billion debt, which we don't know if that's going to happen. So I'm going to read on here from after like a narrative segment of the article. As the most prominent public-facing employee, head coach Thomas Tuchel faced questions no other contemporary has ever endured, negotiating a hurdle with a mixture of humility and endeavour as he looks to keep Chelsea's season on track. Yep, Tuchel's incredible, exemplary throughout this period. Lately, however, the cracks have started to show. 4 defeats in 9 matches have led to the end of their Champions League title defence. Yeah, on that, I don't really see that as a massive negative. We played so well in the Bernabeu, and we deserve to go through in the tie. It just, look at what happened yesterday with Man City. It just seems like Real's season again. But it just seems like I don't really have much criticism for Chelsea in the Champions League. But let's read them. And triggered nervous looks over their shoulder as they try and avoid being dragged into a scrap for the top 4 race. Key defenders Antonio Rudiger will leave for Real Madrid when his contract expires at the end of the season. Andreas Christensen is expected to follow, and Tuchel admitted last week that the suspension of transfers until a takeover is completed means they risk being left behind by their rivals in a summer window. Basically like saying, Liverpool, United, City, but even like United, Arsenal, Tottenham can get a jump on Chelsea if they don't start doing transfer business. He said, "You're never fully sure, but we would have some targets and we would usually have contacted some players and found out about their situations by now. But our hands are tied. We can still have talks inside the building, but we cannot act, so it's not an ideal situation." The Blues' temporary license to operate runs out on May the 31st, underlying the urgency to complete a deal, but the close examination of Chelsea's squad exposes how the clock ticking on a number of big decisions they must get right. So this is like the article that goes through the situation with the players, and this is what I wanted to talk about. I think this is quite interesting. Starting off with goalkeepers. Edouard Mendy's status as Chelsea's number 1 is secure, but the club will seek to offload Kepa Arrizabalaga at the end of the season. So that's interesting. Some people did think, we're so blessed to have such a good number 2 in Kepa. Great, just a great goalkeeper, shot stopper at times, but of course, apart from once, really good against with penalties. But of course, if you think about how much he gets paid, it's untenable. ESPN reported in February that the Brazilian was facing a fight to save his Blues career despite The Brazilian? We found the first error in this ESPN piece. Kepa's, last I checked, isn't Brazilian, but he's facing to save his Blues career despite impressing while Mendy was away at the African Cup of Nations. Kepa has just started 1 game since then and has come off the bench to miss a decisive spot kick as Chelsea lost the Carabao Cup final. Yeah, again, it's not that he missed the kick, it's that he didn't save any of them, really. Sources have told ESPN that Kepa has worked hard to improve his style of goalkeeping, making him more aggressive, learning to command his box better. But there's still a desire with him to move on. And you can understand that, ideally recouping as much as 71 million fee of the 71 million fee as they pay to Bilbao for his services. Kepa is contracted till 2025, and he's on about 150k a week, or limit. So that would limit his suitors. Absolutely, you'd have to sell him for less. Like, how much can you sell Kepa for? Like, he is a good goalkeeper, but 30 million because he's young and he like could be Spain's number one again, maybe if he gets back into form. Like, that's, taking on those wages as well. So, you decide down in the comments. Defenders. Sources have told ESPN that Rudiger's decision to leave has come as a significant blow to Tuchel. He did seem confident he'd stay, didn't he? So I can imagine he's pissed. And also many of the centre-back teammates. Talks stalled over Rudiger's wage demands. He is believed to have rejected an offer worth more than £225,000 per week. If you reject that as a centre-back, then fair enough, you're gone, man. And Chelsea have not been able to negotiate since late February as a result of the sanctions. Rival overseas clubs have sought to exploit the uncertainty by talking up the clarity that would come with a move away. Real Madrid have won the race to sign Rudiger, and a formal announcement is expected soon. Sources have told ESPN that Christensen all but agreed terms on a new contract with Chelsea, and I've reported on this many times, but upped his demands and talks stalled before the enforced hiatus. Although the club have triggered a 1-year extension as Azpilicueta's contract, Barcelona have not given up hope, as he could push to leave this summer. Imagine if Barcelona just take Christensen and Azpi off us and we just don't have any centre-backs. I mean, they won't give a shit. Why would they give a shit? I don't think we've got a particularly good relationship with Barcelona. I mean, Real Madrid we've done business with before, historically back in the day, as well as Hazard going there, Kovacic coming here. So, Barcelona, they won't give a crap, would they? Losing all three would create a major hole in the squad, especially given Thiago Silva turns 38. Malang Sarr and Trevor Chalobah are not proven. I think Trevor Chalobah's been really unlucky to be paired up with Malang Sarr in that there. Chelsea have a long-standing interest in Sevilla's Jules Koundé. We've talked about this before. The club were also thought to be considering offering Reece James improved terms on his current contract. So yeah, not just Reece James, but Mason Mount. Both are probably to be given new contracts under the new ownership. Marcos Alonso has 1 year remaining on his deal, but we've just spoken about that. Like, he's probably going to go from Fabrizio Romano. Ben Chilwell hoping to return for being long-term solution at left wing back again. Chelsea have several defenders on loan, including Ethan Ampadu and Levi Colwill. We've spoken about Levi Colwill, left footer, playing really well in the Championship. Kind of has that Reece James, Mason Mount vibe in terms of how well he's sorry, there's a plane going over my apartment, in terms of how well he's performing. Ethan Ampadu, by the way, I don't watch Venezia in Serie A, but I was looking at some of his performance ratings on those silly websites. He's got really, really good ratings, and he's played in so many different positions. We might have to seriously start considering Ethan Ampadu in the Chelsea first team next season. Let's move on to midfielders. Much of the focus in recent months has been on the futures of three defenders, Rudiger, Christensen and Azpi, but that somewhat masked a similarly rapidly approaching issue in midfield. Kante and Jorginho, both hugely influential players for Tuchel, are out of contract at the end of next season. Quote, "It would be nice if we can avoid more players running their deals down, but at the moment it's difficult because of the sanctions," said Tuchel. But tying down Jorginho and Kante should be a target for all of us. And of course, Jorginho turns 31 in December. Kante is the same age now. We've all got, differing opinions on this. A lot of people think that they should both go and sold for money. A lot of people think they should run down their contracts, or one should go in terms of sell one, keep the other. A lot of people think Jorginho should be sold because he could get a lot of money for a big Italian club. And Kante because when he does find form, he's so unique and you can just throw him on. We'll see what happens. In the past, Chelsea have had the same negotiation issues with contract lengths of players. Willian and Cesc Fabregas are examples of players who left because the clubs were reluctant to give them long-term deals. I mean, Fabregas is the kind of player we've been calling out for a long time. Willian, in hindsight, was actually pretty productive, because they're over 30, Chelsea have those limitation rules. Of course, it's impossible to know at this stage whether the new owners would adopt this policy. The new owner's going to be no one over 30, or the new owner's going to come in and be Todd Boehly, hey guys, I've been looking at soccer and Benzema, Lewandowski, these guys are good. Thiago Silva, why are you I'm going to stop doing the accent now, but why are you being so funny about a guy who's 30 when they can be mid-late 30s and amazing? Maybe. The game's changing a little bit, but it is risky because these individuals are few and far between. Another factor is Conor Gallagher returning from Crystal Palace, of course. He's playing really, really well. He won Young Player of the Year at London Football Awards, and Tuchel really likes him. So there's Conor Gallagher. Excuse me. However, the possible departures elsewhere with Ross Barkley, no one would cry for Ross Barkley. Ruben Loftus-Cheek's future unclear, although I do think Tuchel really does like. I think Ruben will stay personally, and then they mentioned Saul Niguez returning to Atletico Madrid. I do genuinely think Ruben will stay. Sources have also told ESPN that Chelsea are keen to extend Mason Mount's contract. Boom, there you have it. Mason Mount to join Reece James, two important players that don't get paid. They get paid like 60 and 70k a week, bearing in mind they both came from, they were championship loanees. This is the kind of thing that if Levi Colwill comes into the Chelsea team, say he's playing a lot as a starter at left centre back over Rudiger, we'll give him a first team contract at 60k a week or something. That's what happens. And then 2 years down the line, if he's been starting a Champions League final, you'll be like, okay, now you've got to pay him much more. That's where we're at with Mount and Reece James. Meanwhile, Christian Pulisic and Hudson-Odoi have deals that also expire in 2024, so they're going into their final 2 years. Pulisic insisted he was relaxed about the situation when he spoke about it last month, but both players have struggled for fitness and not played much. Another interesting one, of course, is Billy Gilmore, maybe in line for a more prominent role. Again, yeah, he can be amazing, Billy Gilmore. Under Lampard, he was amazing at times. Literally, Billy Esther. This guy's the future. So let's end on the forwards. I realise this video is quite long. Romelu Lukaku has started 3 games in all competitions since February. The end of February 20th. The situation is unsustainable for the 115 million euro signing, supposedly in the peak years of his career. Although Tuchel handled the initial public fallout well, the damage done by his interview, of course, in which he discussed a return to Milan and voiced his frustrations. I still blows my mind. His Chelsea, maybe, yes, okay. Tuchel currently believes Chelsea are in a more potent force without Lukaku, and therefore it is not difficult to imagine the club considering offers for the 28-year-old, especially as those fees could be then reinvested somewhere elsewhere in the team. You'd make a massive loss, and he'd have to cut his wages, and he'd be 29 by the time he gets started properly with another team. Before the sanctions, it was expected that Chelsea would be allowing Timo Werner to depart as well after 2 unproductive seasons in England. Again, maybe. Armando Broja, has impressed on his loan at Southampton, but it's unclear at this stage whether Tuchel believes the 20-year-old is ready for first-team football. It is one raft decisions that you have to make in the summer. There's going to be so much decided in a pre-season, I think. Especially with Bruja, because if he does really well in pre-season, scores some goals, then he won't be like, okay, you're now the first team striker, but it will be like, okay, now you're one of the strikers in the first team, and you start cup games, maybe come off the bench, and if you do really well, you can be our first team striker. If meritocracy, boy, if you score the goals and you look like a baller, then that's it for you. So that's an interesting article by ESPN. Apart from calling Kepa Arrizabalaga Brazilian, I think it's pretty good. Let me know what you think, though. Comment down below. Of course, I've been keeping a closer an eye on the takeover, waiting for the Here We Boehly. Cool. See you soon. Peace.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy talk. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life, seen trouble, hustle on the double. Silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo, chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't.